Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. So I don't want to waste any time. Let's just get started with today's collective reading. Also, I would like to say I'm going to leave the light off during this reading because I don't know, I like the vibe I get when it's dark in here. Like I don't like the light on too much. But anyway, so let's get started. So okay, look. So they have a typewriter in this room, right? And I use a typewriter to type up y'all's message. And I really wanted to do that because I like typewriters. I even like the old ones. I just don't know how to use them. But it ran out of ink, so I had to fill in the rest. So it's looking a little ghetto right now, but it's okay though. It looks fine. I just want to say that I had fun using that typewriter. I think I'm gonna actually get me one. Like I know it's like too much of a hassle to actually do that because we got computers and we got different ways of actually typing shit up, but typewriters are fun. Like I love the sound it makes. It's like some ASMR, like the sound that it makes when you like using the actual keys itself. But yeah, so what I ask is how can the collective coexist with their shadow side? Also, what I would like to say is I'm making a podcast segment about how can we coexist with our shadow side, because that's something that I've been having trouble with, being consistent with my shadow working. And I would like to, implement new ways and how to do things, because I know I'm not the only one who has trouble being consistent with their shadow working. It's not the easiest thing to do. Shadow working is not easy, especially inner child work, because inner child work goes all the way back to childhood trauma or anything that you have experienced as a child. It could have been good or bad. It's just doing that work that's so deep in our subconscious is not the easiest thing. It's very uncomfortable. So a lot of the times we are inconsistent with the things that are actually good for us because we're scared of the outcome. It's a scary thing. A lot of us are so used to operating out of our ego and out of our fear. We don't want anything that's good for us because we don't believe that we are worthy of good things. So I think that's another reason why a lot of people are not consistent with things that are actually good for them, because they don't feel it within their heart. But again, it's just like that's a part of your shadow side, your insecurity. So I want to know how can we coexist with our shadow side, because coexisting with your shadow side is very important. Your shadow side is there for a reason. It's not there for you to get rid of or banish or neglect. It's there for a specific reason. It's a part of you. In order to accept who you are as a whole human being, as a soul, you need to accept your shadow side. So yeah, so how can we coexist with our shadow side? So of course I got maybe this little fire. Oh, there we go. Now we got action. So y'all got 2 hexagrams. So the first one was 37 and 33. And remember, when you have one or more changing line, that like you're getting further and further away from the influence of the first hexagram. And these are the lines that, that I highlighted on there. So line number 4 is the action. So how can this be done? So like, how can we coexist with our shadow side? And 1, what's involved or needed? So what is involved in y'all's shadow side? Like, what do we need in order so we can coexist? How can we be more consistent? So I really love how this came out. So I'm excited to get started on this reading. So let's get this party started. Okay. The first one says people in the home. I may have to, hold on, maybe if I hold it like that, yeah. People in the home cooperate in their shared space and invest in it together. Steadily over time, all involved can grow freely. Find their place and nurture connections with others. New things can enter and grow, becoming part of whole. Where are the boundaries of home you inhabit? How are you building inner and outer relationships into a home? What kind of growth does this environment support? So basically, kind of just want to get into, it's like, you see how it says like a shared space. So it's like your ego, your higher self, your inner child, and your shadow self are in a shared space. They're in your vessel, like they're a part of your energy. So it's like y'all are all coexisting within a home. But think about it this way, y'all are all coexisting, but all of y'all are just not necessarily on the same page. Y'all don't know how to interact with each other without arguments or one having a different opinion of the other. You within yourself and your own energy, you're confused and you're conflicted and you're inconsistent. It's because you don't know how to get every aspect of yourself in alignment with your main goal. That's why it says people in the home cooperate in their shared space and invest in it together. It's like every aspect of you needs to invest in the time to spend together. So that means that you, your conscious mind, you have to do it on your part to do some more healing work, do shadow working and all that, and make sure that each and every part of you is on board with each other. Because it's kind of like taking a family field trip. And each and every one of y'all in the car, your shadow self, your inner child, your higher self, and your ego, all y'all got different directions that y'all want to go. Some of y'all want to go see this monument. Other people don't want to do that because that's boring. It's like y'all need to learn how to coexist on this trip. You need to learn how to coexist within your own home. Remember, your home is your heart center place. So if you're not whole within your heart center place, you're not going to feel whole. You're going to make yourself believe that you are not worthy, that you're insecure, that you're not enough, that you're not deserving the great things in your life. And you're also going to become codependent and seek external validation from other people to make you feel whole within yourself. But in reality, no one can complete you but you. So that's why it's saying, like, find their place and nurture connections with others. Like, you need to nurture the connections that you have with yourself. And it's not to say that y'all got different personalities. No, you need to understand that when you act a certain way, so let's say you're reacting, and reacting means like reacting from ego, fear. So if somebody pushes your buttons or triggers you, you're going to react in a negative way because you're used to that. So your shadow side is reacting. But when you respond to a person's negativity, that means you're coming from a higher place, like your higher self is involved. You're not necessarily allowing that person to get to you or treat you in any way. You're setting up boundaries not only to protect yourself from that person, but also to protect your energy and your peace at the end of the day. So that's what it means by nurturing the connections with each other within yourself. So you won't have to react to people, so you can learn how to respond. Because when each and every aspect of yourself is not on board with each other, y'all are all over the place. Your emotions are going to be all over the place. You're going to feel that, you're not going to be able to trust not only yourself, but other people. So you're going to put yourself in compromising situations because you're not whole within yourself. You don't feel whole and you're not connected from a heart-centered place. So this is a place where new things can enter and grow. It's like within your vessel, new things can enter and grow, meaning like any abilities that you have or any part of a part or aspect of yourself that you have never tapped into. Like, for example, for me, like when I'm in my heart center place, I want to be a creative director, and not as an actual job, but that's another aspect and a talent that I have because I'm such a visual person. It's like I visually see things like in a creative way, especially when I'm happy and I'm centered. So it's like that's another ability that I have that I can actually tap into, that I can actually use to have fun and play around with. So new things can enter and grow. So things can grow within you. You can excel within your own abilities because you're not allowing anybody or anything to get away, or any influence to affect how, not only how you view yourself, but how you go about living your life in the world. Because look, you're becoming part of the whole. This is how you can coexist with your shadow side, is accepting your shadow side. You can't coexist with your shadow. You can understand something about your shadow side, but if you're not able to coexist with your shadow side, then you're not going to be whole. That's just like living in a house with people, and I understand that you act the way that you do and I don't like it, but I don't acknowledge you. I don't want to coexist with you in my space. So if you're not able to do that, then you're not going to be able to feel whole. You're going to be bothered. Your own peace is going to be continuously be bothered because you can't get right within yourself, and you're allowing something or anything, any type of outside influence to get to you. So of course your energy is going to be all over the place. You're not going to feel whole. Okay, so since it says, and I want you to take a good look at these questions, like I don't want to go too deep into these questions because due to time, but just take a good look at these questions. Y'all can pause the video. Y'all can write these questions down. This would be a great way to do some journal prompts or just some questions that you can just ask yourself. Like the first one, just for example, just real quick, where are the boundaries of the home you inhabit? So do you have boundaries up for yourself? Because every aspect of yourself, you need boundaries in order to protect yourself from other people. Because your shadow side, it'll get right with somebody real quick, but your higher self don't really want that because you have to compromise your energy in order to meet people where they at. And some people are lower than a curb, and I ain't gonna lie to you. That's just what that is. Some people want you to get that low with them because they feel like they can manipulate, they control you. But ask yourself, where are your boundaries for yourself? How can you walk away from this? Say no. Like, what can you do in order to protect your own peace, your own sanity, your own energy? So that's just kind of an example. Like, ask yourself these questions. So let's get into the passage. Okay, hold on. Okay. So the old Chinese character for home shows a pig under a roof. A home is where people rear a pig together, sharing wealth, work, and value. People in home cooperate in their shared space and invest in it together as a family, workplace, school of thought, or culture. And within the structure, it provides they can recognize and understand what is valuable. To create a successful home, you need to have the constancy. Why do I always feel like I say that wrong? Constancy. Like, I don't actually ever say that word like outside of this. I'm gonna look it up because it's just sometimes when you don't say words you never saw before or something you haven't spoken about like in a while, the way you pronounce it sounds weird. Like, you sound like you're saying it wrong. But anyway, it says steadily over time your work creates a space in which all can grow freely into their natural form and find their place in their connections with others. You allow space for new things to enter and grow, become a part of the whole inner ecosystem. You keep the space for living in. So it's like you are, like, think of your temple as an ecosystem. And think of an ecosystem, how when ecosystems are erupted, a lot of things are just unbalanced. So when you are unbalanced within yourself, you're going to be unbalanced within your own life. So your family, workplace, school of thought, your culture is not going to feel stable enough for you. So your structure is not going to be stable. Your structure is going to have a false and it's going to have a false foundation. So it's just like, learn how to coexist with every aspect of yourself, because you can. It's like, people think that there's no common ground when it comes to other people. There's always a common ground. Your sanity is a common ground. Like, because some people just don't want to cooperate just because. And this could resonate with somebody out there. If this means like something outside of yourself, because some people just trigger you in a way. Like, just your peace is more important, especially your values. Your values, your integrity is more important than somebody's negative ass thoughts, comments, projections. Like, just because somebody ain't right within themselves does not mean that you will be interrupted within yourself. So it's like, always keep your shadow side in check. But I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Like, make sure that you're good at the end of the day. Make sure you don't allow anybody to bring that out of you, because at the end of the day, you're always being tested for a response. Either you're going to respond to a certain situation outside of yourself, or you're going to react to it. So it's like, anything can grow in this natural form. So think of that inner ecosystem. You are your inner ecosystem. Your heart-centered place is an ecosystem within its own. So it's like, when your heart-centered place and when you're connected, everything's able to grow freely. So your manifestations and everything like that will be able to grow. It will be nurtured because you're putting that energy within yourself. You're not putting that energy into somebody else and allowing them to waste your time. So it's just like, allow this to nurture yourself. Allow your energy to work for itself. Meaning, allow it to be that inner ecosystem. Allow every aspect of yourself to connect with one another. Connections are very important. That's what we came down here for. But also, what's more valuable is the connection that you have with yourself. So with our shadow side, how can we coexist? We have to learn how to cooperate with it. How can we cooperate with our shadow side? Because sometimes you can use your shadow side to get shit done, to take initiative. Your shadow side is tough. It's a warrior. Your shadow side has a lot of things that has happened to it, negative things from other people, negative experiences, like just anything that you can think of, childhood trauma, things that you have yet to heal, some things that you don't really want to look at because it's too hard. But that's okay. You can channel that energy. You can transmute that energy into something productive. And you can actually get some shit done, make some shit work for you. Your shadow side wants to be loved and nurtured. It doesn't want to be neglected, forgot about, and unseen, and hushed and pushed to the side like a piece of trash. No, your shadow side is a part of you. So when you treat your shadow side like that, then that means you're treating yourself like that. You might as well be treating yourself like trash and nothing, and you're not worthy. So don't do that to yourself. Learn how to coexist with your shadow side. Ask your shadow side, what do you want from me? Like, is it love, nurturing, more free time, more shadow working, more journal prompts, like anything? Tell me, guess what? The divine will provide for you. Whoever y'all believe in, it will provide the answer for you, right? Especially if you feel like you can't channel it within yourself, it will be provided for you. Okay, so again, y'all had the changing lines. So number 1 and number 4, which is the action and what's involved. So let's go to number 1 so we can ask, like, what is involved within not being able to coexist with your shadow side? It says, with barriers, there is a home, regrets vanish. When you start to mark out the plot, when you build walls to separate the inside from the outside, you are founding a home. Then with internal partitions to give each person their place. Relationships within the space will be settled harmoniously. So it's like everybody knows their place within you. Your shadow side knows its place. Your inner child knows its place. Your higher self knows its place. Your ego knows its place. If you're able to coexist and everyone is on board with their part and their role within and how to coexist within each other and how to live harmoniously, then you'll be at peace. Then you'll be balanced within yourself. And of course, there are going to be times where each and every aspect of yourself is not going to feel fully safe or balanced because, again, we live in a convoluted universe, an unpredictable world. Even if you try to control your environment the best way you know how, you can't control other people and our government or anything else, any external source or variable that goes on in our world. You're not able to control it. So of course there are going to be times when you're not feeling balanced within yourself, but that's okay though, because you know how to find your way back home. And that's what's the most important thing. The new walls interrupt old patterns of behavior and protect against old injuries and fears. So regrets vanish. A new home is a fresh start. So it's just like every time, like I said, like new walls interrupt old patterns of behavior. Like every time you're going to have to fix something in your home, that means you're going to have to do some more healing work. Because a happy home is a home where everybody's able to connect with each other, but also when you're able to take care of things around the house. So think about just daily chores. So think about living with people. When somebody's not doing their part, you're going to be pissed off because you're going to have to pick up the slack of that person because they're not pulling their weight, right? So it's just like when everything is working, the bills are paid, everybody's living fine, eating good, then that means everybody's harmonious, everybody's coexisting with one another. So you have to continue to keep that upkeep because keeping a house is not an easy thing. So it's like you're going to have to continue to stay, at least try to stay connected with your heart center place. And then when you feel unsettled, unbalanced, ask yourself, how can I find myself back home? Okay, so without the barriers, we felt insecure and unsure of our places. Our space was unprotected against what did not belong there. So again, some of y'all are allowing other people to get to y'all, and their emotions, negativity does not have a place in y'all's home. Your home is your sacred space, your heart-centered place. So try your best to not allow people to get to you. And trust me, this happened to me like the other day, and I'm telling y'all, like I was ready to tap into my shadow side. I was ready to get low with somebody, like, and I don't care who it is. You can be friends, family, whatever. Like there are times where I just do not appreciate nobody taking advantage of me, lying, being disrespectful. Like that is just like, that's a whole new like button that you can push. And yeah, that pisses me off. But I kept telling myself, I'm being tested. Like, they're testing for my response. You know what I decided to do with my energy? I went to the gym. I had to learn how to transmute that energy to something else because I swear, like, I was really ready to, like, tell somebody about themselves. And sometimes, if I'm being honest, some people are just not ready to hear that truth. But I wasn't going to be nice about it. I was going to be very just, disrespectful, blunt, hurtful, because that's how I felt. Hurt people. And at the end of the day, when somebody coming for me, like, you're not finna come for me in my peace because I'm gonna protect all that I got. But again, I'm glad that I did not react in that way because it wasn't for my highest good at all. So that's what it says. It's like you'll feel insecure and unsure of your place when everything's unprotected against what did not belong there. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but its boundaries were unclear and constantly renegotiated. Once the walls are built, we feel intact, secure in our own identity. We are a better place to relate well to other people. These are good foundations for a lifetime of organic growth and evolution. So it's basically saying like what is involved. So again, number one was what's involved or what's needed. So what's needed is for us to have boundaries. And that's what those walls are talking about, boundaries, because each and every part or aspect of yourself will likes its own privacy and likes its own boundaries. And yes, I am talking about every aspect of yourself as if it's as if it is as if it's its own person. Why does that sound? Every aspect of yourself is its own person, which is actually true. Now, again, you don't have different personalities. It's just that think about when you tap into different aspects of yourself. So when you are in your inner child energy, how do you act and how do you feel? You feel a lot more free-spirited, right? You feel a lot more connected. You feel good inside. But then when you're in your shadow side, you feel angry. You feel insecure. You feel like you want to hurt people. And I'm talking about verbally or physically. I don't know how some of y'all get down. But it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're in your ego, you just looking at things from a fear-based perspective. You're going to feel unloved, feel unworthy. You're going to seek validation with other people. But then when you're in your higher self, you're connected, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel connected and you're going to feel balanced. So it's like each and every one of them has boundaries that it needs. So no one can cross that boundary and make them feel like they're not safe. That's what I mean by these walls. It's like, what is involved or needed with us? How can we coexist with our shadow side? We need boundaries, not just for ourselves, but to protect ourselves from other people. Because that's how a lot of the times people's shadow self come out, is when somebody tests you, when somebody don't think that you'll get there with them, but you can. But at the end of the day, we don't want to, because a lot of these situations with people are so unnecessary and easily avoided. Because some people live for that shit. Some of y'all out there trying to get people the benefit of the doubt, but stop doing that. Because when you do that, you allow them to walk all over you and do and say what they want to because they know you won't say shit. And look, there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. You can stand up for yourself. You can literally let somebody know in the nicest way, I don't appreciate your tone. I don't appreciate the way you talk to me. I don't appreciate your behavior. But at the end of the day, I'm going to distance myself from you before I say something that hurts your feelings. Because at the end of the day, some people will get you there. But you have to let people know, like, you're not going to disrespect me. And that if you continue to act this way, I will literally cut you off. And that's what I really want to say to that person the other day. But I'm not going to, no. Because it's not really how I felt. Like, anger was boiling up in my chest. But anyway, like how we feel intact. Like, just like I said, I was going to come untact if I were to have to say something to somebody. But I had to go channel that energy. And this is some advice for y'all. Like, if y'all want to learn how to coexist with y'all shadow self and your shadow self wants to get off that bench and go off on somebody, walk away. Go take a jog, go run, go walk. You will feel a lot better. You'll feel a lot clear-minded. Because, again, you're being tested for your response. So the regrets vanish. So it's just like, if you were to act in your shadow side, if you were to let somebody have it, I mean, be messed up to them and everything, you're going to regret that at the end of the day. Not because it came from just an unwarranted place, it's because it came from you. And that you know for a fact that you're not that person, that you allow somebody who acts the way that they do get to you. Because at the end of the day, that person is going to have a guilty conscience. That person is living their life like how they're going to live their life. Some people just do not care about the emotions and don't consider nobody else's feelings but their own. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, you're not like that because you did your part, right? You act accordingly. You're connected. So you're doing your part. And when you continue to do that, when you continue to put up boundaries, you're able to grow and evolve. You're able to see the fruits of your labor. Your shadow side will not be able to get, I just thought anyway, it's like, the organic growth is there, right? It's like you'll be able to evolve into the person that you're meant to be, while that person, place, thing, whatever you want to call it, name it, whatever situation, is going to stay stuck there. It's going to be stagnant. Okay, so it's like, this is how we can coexist with our shadow side, is by setting up boundaries for not only for ourselves but for other people. So look, it says because when you have boundaries, you're unsure of your place in this world, because anybody can say or do anything to you, and you're just going to feel unworthy or unloved. So you're going to be unsure of your place, not within your heart but within this community of yours. So it's like, this is what it's saying basically. Like, the barriers are your boundaries. So I also want to show y'all something. That's why I had this book out, because I've been reading this book and I learned that, hold on. Let me put that, oh shit, I'm fucking shit up, hold on. Fucking it up. Okay, no, that's not how that works. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so this is a book about set boundaries, find peace, a guide to reclaiming yourself. So I definitely need to be more consistent with reading this, but I have read, one second. Hold on. Says boundaries and expand over time as our needs change. So let me go to the actual boundaries itself. So I'm not even done reading this chapter. Someone referred this book to me. So okay. So this is like the different type of boundaries. So like rigid bound, this is where I did my own little marking on the book, because this is the type of boundaries I have. I have rigid boundaries. So it's like never sharing, building walls, avoiding vulnerability, cutting people out, having a high expectation to others, enforcing strict rules. So like those boundaries are not only not fair to me, but they're not fair to other people. So it's like, what other boundaries are there? I think there was porous boundaries are weak and poorly expressed. So it can be like, it can be a mixture of two things. You can be oversharing, codependent, inability to say no, people pleasing, dependency, validation on the feedback from others, being rejected. Like, look at all these boundaries. They all kind of coincide with each other. So you can see yourself within these boundaries, but either way, your boundaries are not necessarily healthy for you. And look, and it also says that this is what you're going to experience from people when you do put up boundaries. Pushback, limit testing, ignoring, rationalizing, question, defensiveness. I'm telling you, there's a lot of defensive people out there. Sometimes I can be defensive, but again, ghosting, silent treatment, acceptance, like, you know what I'm saying? You see how acceptance is the last part? Because a lot of people probably just won't get there. Some people will. Some people will respect your boundaries. But how to handle limit testing, like it goes into defensiveness behavior. It also goes into like what they will say, and you know, like just the silent treatment, acceptance, like healthy way to respond to boundaries is a sign of functional and mutual relationships. So like coexistence. So not only think about this as the outside world, but also think about it within yourself. So ask yourself, what are my boundaries? Are they rigid? Are they porous? Or you just have weak boundaries altogether? And if so, how can we work on that? So I would definitely suggest getting this book. Because this is a good book. But look, it says family will not come as a surprise to you. Family is where people experience the biggest challenges around boundaries. So it's just like, hell yeah. Like putting the boundaries for family is hard, not just because it's your family. No, it's mostly because it's like so there's a lot of generational trauma that goes on within families. So there's so many deep-seated issues that these family members do not want to actually take accountability for. And they live through these emotions, this trauma, and they project that onto you. So yes, it's very hard to set up boundaries for family. But anyway, so we talked about what's involved. So our boundaries are what's involved, right? So what is our action? Like, how can this be done? Because we need to know. It says, this is the top one. It says, enriching the home, great good fortune. Riches are stored up in the home. It is good to invest more there. What enriches the home? Harmony, sound, friendship, and wealth of exchange between people. So it's basically saying investing your energy into something more productive. That's how we can coexist with our shadow side. Like, invest in things that actually make you happy. Because if you're making every aspect of yourself happy, you're your shadow side is going to be happy too, because you're putting that energy and that nurturing, that love, kindness, generosity into your shadow side as well. Remember, think of it as the whole ecosystem. So what you do for one, you do for all of you. So what you don't do for one, you don't do for the rest. So if you're not connected, you're unbalanced. Every aspect of you is not balanced. You don't have healthy boundaries. Then you're not going to have boundaries for your inner child, your ego, yourself, your higher self, even your shadow self. So it's like what you do for one, you do for the rest. So it's like when you put that energy and invest into your home and you become more harmonious and be able to have healthy relationships, and especially externally, it's like your ecosystem will be balanced, and you'll be able to have like good fortune, enriching the home. Remember, your heart-centered place, your heart chakra is your home. So it's like enrich that part of you. Like fill your heart with what makes you happy. Don't worry about anybody else. People are just upset because they cannot be a part of your good fortune. People are just haters. They want to be a part of it so bad that they want to talk about you or who you used to be, because they no longer know who you are now. So that's the action that can be done. Okay, I'm over it. Like, this is what we're not gonna do. We're not going to do that. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I keep itching my head because not only is my hair dirty, I put it in a bun. I usually wear like my natural hair out, but like, I'm tired of shit. I did not feel like doing my hair. Okay, so what is our next card? So it says retreat. Retreat means withdrawing from what can harm you as a way to keep yourself whole. When you retreat, you hide yourself away so that you won't lose yourself. In offering no resistance and creating no friction, retreating bears fruit in small, inconspicuous ways. What must you do to stay safe and whole? How can you change your relationships so they support your integrity? So it's like this. The thing about integrity, which is crazy, is what I was basically saying earlier. Like I could have reacted from a very hurt place and really told somebody about themselves. But then again, I am compromising my own integrity, my morals, and my values just to meet that person where they're at, and they don't deserve that response. And again, it could be friends, family, whoever. But I'm really referring to family. But I don't care. But y'all understand, when I came back from Italy, I had to understand that the way I communicated with my environment, my world, and myself was not healthy. That I was always passive aggressive. I need to change that. Like I need to be more direct with my communication. Be assertive, respectful, regardless of how anybody takes that in. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you respond to somebody. Some people just don't know how to communicate. Just because somebody's running their mouth does not mean they're communicating or they're saying anything constructive. Period, point blank. Some people don't understand the meaning of what it means to actually communicate something. They think that if they just run their mouth, they communicate. You're not saying nothing. You're not communicating, right? So I need to learn that what I was doing was I was not communicating. I was just hiding who I was because I didn't like confrontation. And that was some learned behavior that I grew up around. Because a lot of people, if you grew up in a household where communication was it was emphasized heavily and it was very important that you got your point across, but also to a point where somebody can understand it, even if they don't respect it, they can still understand it where you come from, then yes, I would act like that. But I came from a household where communication was not healthy. It was inconsistent and unpredictable. So that's why I am a passive aggressive communicator. But ever since I came back from Italy, I learned that's not fair to me to communicate like that. Because if I'm communicating like that externally, that's how I communicate with myself. I'm passive aggressive. I'm indirect. I don't necessarily give myself what I really need at the moment and when it's very necessary. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it means by retreating from that type of behavior. Like go back in and then ask yourself, how am I communicating? Because when you're not able to state your needs, you're not able to put up boundaries. You're not going to be able to tell somebody like, I don't like the way you spoke to me. That's very disrespectful. And you do it again, you will be cut off. Period, point blank. Like y'all need to learn how to distance yourself from certain people, especially family, because family are going to try you and test you to the very T, because it's family, right? Because everybody says it's family, you shouldn't do it to family. No, you need to understand the difference between a relative and a family member. I have friends who I consider family, and it's family who I consider relatives. you just have a label. You're just a cousin. You're just this. You're just that. Family is deeper. It's more about blood. It's more than blood. It's deeper than that. It's about an energetic connection that you have with people, right? So that's what I mean by that. So it's just like, that's what it. Wait, hold on. That's not what I was trying to do. 1 second. I gotta go back. But that's what I mean by like the card, like the integrity, like integrity. That's what really pointed out to me out this whole little paragraph. Integrity. But also offering no resistance, creating no friction, like doing things that does not compromise your own peace. So this relates to the first card, right? So it's kind of moving into this energy, how saying like putting up your boundaries. How can you coexist with your shadow side? Putting up boundaries and communicating, but also learning how to retreat. Because sometimes your shadow side needs a break from this reality. Sometimes your shadow side, yes, can get very overwhelmed because think about it. Think about the past transgressions and the negative experiences. Anything that you label negative is a part of your shadow side. So your shadow side has seen the brunt of it all. Even though your shadow side can get down and dirty with people and really can go there, but your shadow side also has emotions and feelings too. Most of them are suppressed and most of them are hurt from other people and places and things that have experienced. So sometimes your shadow side needs to retreat. Remember, you're like an ecosystem. So it's like what you do for one, you do for all. So retreat. Because if your shadow side saying, oh, we need to retreat, like I said, when I retreated, I went to the gym to burn some steam off and to transmute my energy, that's retreating. That's me pouring into myself. Because I'm transmuting my energy into something positive. I'm working on my temple. I'm making sure that my ecosystem is balanced. I'm making sure that I'm good at the end of the day. And that when my shadow side says retreat, I'm going to retreat. You know what I'm saying? Like withdrawing with anything that can harm you. Other people's negative energy and bullshit can harm you in your ecosystem. Remember, it does not belong there. There is no space in your home, your heart's in a place for other people's BS. There's just not. Oh well. I'm telling y'all, read that book of boundaries. Like, I'm finna look, okay? But I'm also finna give some exercises at the end of this. So how can we be more consistent? Because, like I said in the beginning, sometimes it's hard to be consistent with doing healing work or anything because, you know, life and just excuses, being lazy, all that. Okay, anyway. The old Chinese character for retreat shows a pig and footsteps on the road. Remember how we talked about the pig in the other card? How they use it for the good fortune and to, you know, be harmonious with each other. So perhaps this pig is running away so as not to be eaten. Retreat means withdrawing from what can harm you or what might swallow you up. It is a way to keep yourself whole. So retreating creates success. It is not defeat. So remember, when y'all have to retreat and walk away from somebody, does not mean that they won that argument. Remember, just because somebody's running their mouth does not mean they're communicating. If they're not saying anything constructive or positive or anything that's actually going to benefit both parties, you're not communicating. Even if it's a disagreement, it doesn't matter. If somebody cannot effectively communicate with you, despite what y'all talking about, they're not communicating. So you can walk away. That's not defeat. You're good at the end of the day. Remember, you did your part. But the way to avoid defeat, like any army that falls back and stays intact, when you retreat, you hide yourself away. You might disappear into a landscape altogether so that you would not lose yourself. So like, don't lose yourself. Don't allow to be swallowed up. Like I said, swallowed up by people's negativity because it will like eat you up. You know what I'm saying? So don't lose yourself in that. Retreat moves away from threats and towards wholeness and integrity. It is a way to be constant to principle and to yourself. By paying less attention to immediate results, the army that is loyal to a long-term objective will retreat in good order rather than linger to gather spoils. The hermit, constant to the truth he perceives, withdraws from society into an inner space. He is not interested in claiming tangible rewards. Such constancy, offering no resistance and creating no friction, bears fruit in small and conspicuous ways. Inconspicuous. Yeah. Anyway, so basically saying like, again, move away from threats. Move away from those threats because being in hermit mode does people good. Remember, when you retreat, that means you're doing some self-reflecting. Like, think about those movies. Have y'all watched? Have y'all watched like the Game of Thrones, or if you watched Vikings, like the first season that they made, like the first series, I mean, how some of them retreated. Like, some of them didn't want to accept defeat, but some of them had to retreat in order to self-reflect and make sure that everybody's back on board, that their army is intact. So that's what they mean by like retreating and going into hermit mode. Some of y'all need to do some more self-reflecting, some more shadow working for your shadow self. Because how can you know what your shadow self wants if you're not able to hear it and communicate with it? And this is a great segue into talking about how, forget about communicating with other people, communicate with yourself. So if you're not saying anything constructive, anything that will benefit each and every party within you, you're not communicating anything. You're just bypassing the negativity and just letting it just slide. And you're allowing your ego and everything to take full control, with everyone else being quiet and just going along for the ride and not necessarily being on board with anything. So it's like, learn how to retreat, do some introspection, self-reflect. Especially even if you get heated by somebody else, self-reflect, understand why that person is triggering you. Because at the end of the day, you are being tested for a response. Your response is more valuable than anybody's BS that they throw at you. Remember, somebody is not at peace with themselves. So misery loves company. So they want people to be miserable along with them. Because guess what? When somebody's miserable along with you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to be able to control and manipulate you. But guess what you're doing for them? You're enabling that behavior. You're not allowing anything to grow. There's no room for growth because you're enabling them. That's why misery loves company, because of enablers. They don't want supporters. They want enablers. Okay, so again, what is involved and needed in retreating and the action that can be done. So as you retreat, your tail is the part of the closest to the threat. There's a danger that you could be caught by the tail and pulled back into trouble, into a situation where you can be harmed and old patterns and roles can swallow you up altogether. You need to get completely clear of these influences and leave them far behind before you can safely make plans for the future. At present, trying to emphasize the new makes you vulnerable to being drawn back into old dangers. I have never seen that word. Emphasize? Envision? Emphasize? I don't know. Anyway. So it's basically like saying, like, sometimes, like, yeah, it's good to retreat and turn your back on people, but y'all have to understand, like, y'all need to close that chapter and move on, because sometimes that influence, it just messes with your future and your future manifestations, because when you're not grounded, you're not centered, you're not balanced, you're not going to be able to see the fruits of your labor. So it's going to mess with your future. So when you turn away and walk away from somebody, put up boundaries. If y'all don't want that person to leave your life, just put up healthy boundaries. And at the end of the day, the ball is in their court. If they don't want to comply, then that's fine. You can retreat from that person and walk away, and their influence will no longer follow you. Their negative energy will no longer be attached to you. Some of y'all need to cut these energetic cords. It doesn't matter who it is, what it is. Because remember, other people, when they project on you, it does have an influence on your shadow side. If you cannot coexist within yourself, how can you coexist with other people? And vice versa. So it's like, if you're not able to handle anybody's negative energy, you're not going to be able to handle your own. So it's like, look at this from both ways. Any negative energy that used to attach itself from you, especially a part of your shadow side, cut that energetic cord and walk away, because that influence will affect you in a negative way. So how can we coexist within our shadow side? Like, what is involved or needed? Walking away from influences, cutting those energetic cords, not allowing people to no longer affect us in any way, shape, or form. That's how you're going to be protected within yourself. And again, putting up boundaries is definitely what's going to help you feel intact within your heart center place. And retreating, putting up boundaries, learn how to retreat and walk away from people. That's how we can get that's what's needed at this moment. Retreating and putting up boundaries. Okay. And number 4 is, let me see if that's continued. Okay, it is. So number 4 is Because remember, I want to say this. A lot of the people that you have in your space, your energetic field, is an extension of you, and vice versa. So sometimes people are a reflection of the things that you have not healed within yourself. And I'm not talking about people who are dealing with like addictions or anything like that. Think about the underlying issue, like being insecure and being very defensive and not having healthy boundaries or respect for yourself. So you won't respect other people. So it's just like, learn how to like spot those issues and symptoms within people, so you can ask yourself, is this just something that's being mirrored back to me, or is it just something that I have to deal with within this person that I need to put boundaries up to protect myself? Okay, so this is the action. How can this be done? You retreat out of love and respect. So first thing that popped up, love and respect. Have more love and respect, because that's more valuable to you than anything. To allow space and freedom for yourself and all involved. You avoid pointless confrontation, again, out of love and respect for the integrity of all involved. You will no longer try to force things to work. It is a sign of strength and of higher, more imaginative kind of commitment to withdraw and seek something more natural and fitting. Small people cannot see this longer view, though, so they can only experience the retreat in terms of what is taken from them. Hold on, there's something else wrong with it. Taken from them or denied by them, or what's been denied of them. However, they lack influence here and carry, what is that? Wait, hold on. And cannot prevent the threat. Cannot prevent the retreat. I swear, y'all, I know how to read. But basically, what it's saying is like, this is what can be done. This is the action that you can take. So this can be, the first is, especially how can you coexist with your shadow self, is boundaries. People within the home, so people within yourself. So every aspect of yourself having boundaries. And then this one is retreating from these external forces that have influence on you. And not just that, but within yourself, your own energy, learning how to transmute that into something positive. So it's basically saying you retreat out of love and respect to allow space and freedom for yourself and all that's involved. So it's like, you're avoiding pointless confrontation. Ask yourself, when this person, place, or thing, even yourself, if somebody or something's pissing you off, ask yourself, is this even worth my time? Is this even worth me responding to? Because if not, put up a boundary and walk away. When you put up a boundary, you're putting up that wall between you and that person. You are protected at the end of the day. They can no longer influence you. They no longer have any type of energetic hold over you. They can't do shit. And at the end of the day, that speaks volumes of your energy, because you're responding. Look, you're sending that person away with love and respect, even if you don't like them no more. Love and respect. Some people don't deserve your energy no more. So send them away with love and kindness and move on with your life. Don't allow people to linger on around your energetic field when they're no longer needed. Because when you do that, they're going to bring you down with them. So remember, you can see the longer view, but they cannot. So when you compromise your own energy in peace just to meet somebody where they're at, you're going to be small just like them. You're going to be low vibration just like them. You're just going to lower your vibration. It's going to fuck with your energy. But when you respond in a healthy way that serves you, you're able to see the bigger picture. You're able to see, no, that I'm not going to allow you to mess with my energy, because some people just want to see you in a low vibrational space. But you're not going to allow them to do that, because you're better than that, right? So learn how to retreat. Learn how to put up boundaries. Okay. Okay, so we are good with that. So again, boundaries. Putting up boundaries. What's involved and needed. Your heart center place. How can this be done? By protecting that. How can we coexist with our shadow side with this? Boundaries, being connected. Remember, what you do for one, you do for all. You are an ecosystem within yourself. Second one is retreat. What's involved and what's needed. Your love and your respect of yourself is more valuable. Retreating when you need to retreat. When your shadow side says retreat, we need to go back within ourselves, then retreat. That's how you can coexist. By listening and by communicating, right? When you listen and communicate within yourself, you're able to coexist. Great. Okay, so the last one is the peyote ceremony. Peyote. I guess it's peyote, who knows? The peyote ceremony. So our new ability. So I'm really liking this. I'm liking this card already. You know what this made me think about? New abilities. Channeling your energy into something positive. Channeling your shadow side is energy into something that's a lot more constructive, especially when it's triggered, right? Because that's a way to, like, only fill in your own cup, but to connect with each and every part of yourself. Right? Okay, so let's... Okay. So... If the water bird has flown your way and brought you the peyote ceremony card, you are being asked to recognize your immortal spirit. Look to the crack in the universe for new ways to develop the abilities that can enhance your growth. Remember, doing shadow work and like doing things that makes you happy, like doing shadow work and healing will make you happy. You know why? Because you're connecting with yourself. You're understanding what motivates you to make these decisions. You're understanding what motivates you to do what you want to do at the end of the day, what motivates you to tap into your new abilities and things that you love to do. Like, just understanding who you are and why you do the things that you do. Remove any denial that keeps you from developing new skills and use the talents you have to the fullest. The peyote ceremony card puts you on notice that opportunities to discover the self or the expansive growth are now possible. You are never as limited as you believe you are. The resources of true self are filled with the potential. Conquering limitation created in the mind will allow you to discover these new abilities and know that all goals are possible. Remember that the decision to attack your fears is the beginning of the sacred path. So remember the fears. Remember, your shadow side is not like purposely trying to get in your way. You allow your shadow side to do that. You put these obstacles between you and your destiny. You're these illusions, right? So that's what it means by these fears. Like, these fears are an illusion. All you have to do is just not believe that they're there, because they're not there. You put them there yourself. You limit yourself, right? So in order for you to connect with your true self, you need to learn how to not only navigate your internal ecosystem, but the external ecosystem. So everybody else that's involved, right? Because people ain't just going to vanish off the face of the earth because you don't want them to be around, right? I don't even like people. So I have to deal with them, right? So it's like, I need to learn how to put up boundaries. Now, to protect myself and my peace, but from other people. And also I need to learn how to retreat when necessary and not allow somebody to get me there. You know what I'm saying? And also, when you're able to do this, when you're able to be balanced within your own energy, this is when these new abilities arise. This is when you're able to like tap into different aspects of yourself. Like for example, during a job interview, I called myself a creative director, and I said, fuck that, I am a creative director. Because afterwards, I was like, why did I say that? But I am, because in my mind, I think about doing new ways and how I can actually be a creative director. So instead, I'm asking photographers, like, how can I implement this type of vision that I want? Bringing people together and asking, hey, I got a vision, I really want to do this, and this would be fun. Like, being a creative director. So it's like not allowing anybody else to influence to knock me off my path of my true self. I'm going to continue to dig into myself, and when I do that, I'm having healthy boundaries. I'm able to communicate with my shadow self. I'm able to coexist with my shadow self. I'm able to transmute that energy into something positive so I can tap into my new abilities. So that's what this means for y'all. Like, so y'all can tap into these new abilities for yourself. Transmuting that energy to something constructive. That's how you can coexist with your shadow side. That's how you can work with your shadow side, because you are a team. You, your shadow side, your inner child, your higher self, and your ego. You are all a team. Okay? Okay. So that's this, okay, and one last thing, it says, honoring all abilities in the self and in others marks the pathway of peace. So it's like honoring your own abilities, but also it's like kind of acknowledging other people as well. Even if that person is negative or anything, like acknowledging other people, putting up boundaries, like saying that although I understand where you're coming from, I don't like the disrespect or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, if you cannot comply or coexist with me in this shared space or do whatever, or in work or at home or in a relationship, then I will no longer involve myself with you in any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you have to distance yourself from certain people so you can find peace within yourself, because some people will bring you down. You can be real strong within yourself, but some people will get y'all there. Okay, so that is today's message. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. If this did not resonate with you, that is perfectly fine. Definitely share it with somebody that it does resonate with. Again, I'll be talking about how can we coexist with our shadow side on my podcast. I'm actually going to do that right after this, after I get a little break, because I am a little tired. And once we learn how to coexist with our shadow side, oh crap, I forgot to do this. Look, I'm glad that I just thought about that. Okay, so this is how we can do our shadow work. How can we remember to do our shadow work? I do apologize, y'all. Okay, so number one, setting up an alarm clock. I don't know why I'm writing this down. I don't know if y'all can read it or not. So number one is setting up an alarm clock. So for example, for me, this is what I'm gonna do. Mondays and Fridays. And I meditate around 11 o'clock at night, because I like to meditate at night before I go to sleep. So take 5 minutes out of your day, 5 minutes before you go to sleep, before you meditate, do whatever, to meditate. And not to meditate, but to do shadow working. Y'all can look up these prompts. I just got a ring in my ear too. Y'all can look up these prompts on the internet. You can look up on Pinterest. Pinterest is a great way to go do that. You can make up your own shadow prompts. Like, just do some shadow work and some journaling. Check in with your shadow self. Remember, what you do for one, you do for all. And you can also include your inner child work. So if you got to a point where I've been doing enough shadow working, I want to do inner child work, you can change it to inner child work. But look, set alarm clock Mondays and Friday. This is mine. 5 minutes. Take at least 5 minutes out of my day. So if you want to do shadow working and inner child prompts, you can take 2.5 minutes each. 2.5 minutes each to do that. But set the alarm clock on your phone, because a lot of y'all have y'all phone on you. It's accessible to you, right? You never put it down. And that's that. And I know that for a fact, because I don't. So like, set your alarm clock on Mondays and Fridays. So Mondays and Fridays at 10:50, or actually no, 11 o'clock, because some of my alarm clock to meditate 11 o'clock. Sometimes I don't meditate until around 12, like depending on what time I'm about to go to sleep. That's when I'll meditate. Like, I try at least to do 10 to 15 minutes. If I'm in the mood, I'll do a deep meditation of 40 minutes, right? But like, even before that, just do some shadow work, and you can even do that in your own sacred space, right? So, say at least for 5 minutes. That's what I do on my alarm clock when I do my meditation. When that 11 o'clock go off, it says at least meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. Give yourself a minimum, because sometimes you will not feel like doing certain things. You maybe just be too tired, but give yourself the minimum. So if you don't want to go 5 minutes, go 2 minutes. Do 3 shadow working prompts, inner child working prompts at most, at minimum, just 3. And then there. So that is what I kind of want to say, and that's how we can be consistent. That also coincides with consistency. Putting up that alarm clock, being consistent with yourself, right? Because that could be a very effective tool for us, because I forget shit. I will forget something. My mind do a lot of things at once sometimes. So sometimes I will forget to remember how to do something or to do something. So that's why I put up the alarm clock, to meditate. So that's what I mean by putting up the alarm clock for y'all, so y'all can be consistent, but y'all also can tap into yourself and understand your shadow self. Especially if something were to happen a certain day, you're able to kind of dig deep into that and ask the why that happened, or why it made you feel the way you felt, or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go to the restroom again. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe. But I will talk to y'all later, and I hope y'all have a good day.